Good day, folks. So what we're going to do today is an orthographic drawing here, and we are going to be doing two questions actually specifically. Orthographic, once again, is whereby we are going to take a three-dimensional object, okay, usually a pictorial view, and we want to represent the 2D surfaces. So what we have to do is we have to draw an elevation looking in the direction of arrow A, an end elevation looking in the direction of arrow B, and a plan projected from arrow C above. Okay, you can see here once again I've shaded in my surfaces that I can see from my elevation in red. Okay, I've shaded in my surfaces for my end elevation in blue, and then my surfaces for my bird's eye view and plan in green. I've also got a purple surface, and the reason I've shaded that in purple is because that surface there, because it's kind of cut at an angle, okay, I can actually technically see that surface in both the elevation and the end elevation. So I kind of mix my red and my blue and I put in purple there. So that'll actually be a surface there that will be seen in both views, but I suppose we're not really seeing the true surface because we're not looking directly at it. Okay, so starting off, what we're going to do is always with orthographic you have to set up the boxes that your views are going to sit with inside. Okay, as time goes on you get better at this, you won't really have to set up the boxes, but it's a good practice to start off with when you're starting out this topic. So starting off with the elevation, arrow A is pointing to the right. Okay, so we need to make a box that on the right hand side of our XY line that is going to be 90 millimeters long, the overall length, by 60 millimeters height. So straight away I'm going to start that there now, making a mark on the right, 90 millimeters. And measuring up 60. So I haven't made the height there 60. I've now got my elevation box put in. So what's important to note here is the end elevation, the arrow B is pointing in the left direction, therefore it's going to go on the left of my elevation, and the plan C, okay, looking down on top, always goes underneath the elevation. We've done this in a previous video, so I'll speed up the process from here. So there we have it, folks. There is our elevation box, our plan view box, and our end elevation. As you can see, I kept the distance as always between my pictures. You can usually keep any distance from 1 centimeter to 2. I kept a distance of 1, and having measured down 1, I measured my width, which was 60, okay, down here, and then I transferred that over using a 45-degree line to find my end elevation over here. Okay, so what we're going to do now is straight away we're going to start off with our elevation view, drawing in this L-like structure and this, I suppose, purple surface here before we draw in this red box. So looking at the top here, I can see this distance here on the left hand side is 20 millimeters, and the height of this section here on this platform here is 20 millimeters high. So just to get that L-like structure there, measure 20 and also measure 20 up. Okay, I'm also going to measure this distance here of 70, okay, just to get the full L-like structure, and that will actually leave me then the purple surface. Okay, so project that across, project this down, and then measuring a distance of 70 millimeters and doing a line up. That line there is this edge, okay, as I see it in my elevation view. We've actually got that done now. What we have to do is we've got this kind of L-like structure which we can see here, and then this purple surface which is here. Okay, you can see it's a long rectangle. We're seeing it kind of as a square here because that rectangle, as we're looking in the direction of arrow A, will appear foreshortened. Okay, so what we have to do now is we have to put on this section here. So right here we can see it's starting where the corner is here. Okay, as we look back at it, this section here has a height of 20 millimeters. Okay, and it also has a length of 30. So I have to measure up another 20 and a length of 30. So mark the length first, 30, and I'll mark the height of 20 up on this guy. Could mark it on the outside, absolutely fine either way. Construction lines. There we have it. Okay, so that view is done. Just a case of, once again as always, construction lines, go over them in dark. Let the examiner know that you know what you're doing. I'm using a marker for the purpose of the video. Obviously you would be using pencils inside in class. Possibly staying a little bit neater than I would. So there we go. there's the elevation view done. Okay, we've got all this section done. There's the purple surface and there's the little step on top. So what we're going to do now is we're going to move on to the end elevation, which is what we see in blue here. Okay, so I've already got a series of heights put in. Okay, so I can transfer those across to my end elevation. Right, and now what I have to do is I have to put in my widths. Okay, so for my widths, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in a width of 40 millimeters from the right hand side, or I could measure in 20 from the left. That will get me the blue surface, and once again this purple surface as I see it in the direction of arrow B. So I measure 20 from the left, or alternatively 40 from the right. Put that in. And also we can actually see here, if we look in on the sheet, this blue section here, okay, is actually in line with this edge. So if I follow this up, it's actually in line with it. Okay, so this distance here is also 40. So I'm actually going to project that up as well. And that gives me this step-like structure and then the L-like structure on top. So once again, that view is done. It's just a case of heavying it in. Heavy this section in. And yeah, the whole line here. You'll see in a second it'll be split. This whole line. There's our blue rectangle at the front. There's our purple rectangle. There's our blue step kind of in the middle section of it. And there's the L-like structure at the back. So there's our L-like structure, which we see here. The blue step, here's the blue step. Got the kind of purple surface here, okay, and then the blue rectangle here. So that view is done as well. So what we're going to do now is we're going to move on to our plan view. So what I always do is, I've got the box where it fit inside. I'm going to transfer my widths down. Okay, or I should say my lengths down. All in one go. And I'll also transfer any widths I have. Okay, so that line is brought down. I have a width here in the middle, right there. Oh, without slipping if I can. Slight little slip there, it's fine. And then where it hits the 45-degree line, project that across. Okay, I've actually got the sections of it kind of done here. It's just a case of having in detail. Okay, so this green-like structure here, this rectangle, okay, is actually signified in my elevation by this line here. So it has to be directly down here. Okay, it has to be directly below my finger there. Okay, so what we want to do is, it's going down along here. You can see it's here. There's that green rectangle. Okay, green rectangle done. Now I'm going to look for this step. Okay, and there's the step. Look, looking down on top of it, there's the step here. So that means the step has to be in this section here, and I can see the width of the step was here. So if I follow that down, that's where my step is. Okay, so I'll heavy that step in. And likewise, the last bit we have is this kind of whole surface here, where it's kind of joined at an angle here. So let's say I had to find that point. Okay, I wanted to find these 2 points, or this point here. So I know that point here is in this position, okay, in this view. Okay, so when I follow it down, it has to be somewhere down along here. I know it's on the outside, which is in this view, so therefore it has to be here. Now I want to find this point. This point in this view is here, so it has to be down along this line. And this point in this view is here. So if I follow it down, there it is. So that is actually my diagonal line that I'm going to connect up. Okay, and it's simply a case then of, as always, getting our lines fully heavied in. And there we have it, folks. That there is the elevation completed, end elevation and the plan. Okay, and you can see in this one here, in this view, we're actually seeing this, I suppose, this purple surface here as what's known as an edge view. We're seeing it as an edge. We're not seeing the face of it, we're just seeing the top edge of it. Okay, as we look down, we're seeing that kind of edge there. Okay, so that's that question done, folks. What we're going to do now is, on the right hand side of the page, we're going to move over to a different question, this one here. Okay, and we're going to do it on this side of the page. So I'll just move my camera there slightly. Okay, just so I can get that fully in the page. There we have it. Okay, so once again, following the same process, what we're going to do is we're going to do our elevation, end elevation and plan. So elevation looking in the direction of arrow A, we can see this surface here, and once again the reason I put this in purple is because this surface here can be both seen in my elevation and my end elevation. End elevation once again in blue, and then my plan view colours are in green. Okay, got one surface here that I haven't shaded in because this surface here is obscuring it. Okay, it's in the way of it, so we're going to have maybe a bit of hidden detail like we have done in a previous video. So setting up our boxes, elevation arrow in the direction of arrow A this time is pointing to the left, therefore my XY line is going to go on the left. So I need to make a box that is 95 long and 75 high. So starting on the left hand side of my XY line this time, and then a height of 75. So there's my elevation box. My end elevation is pointing to the right, therefore my end elevation is going to go here and my plan is going to go here. So at this point now I'm going to speed up the video and I'm going to use a width of 65 for my end elevation. So I'll just speed up the video there now. So there we have it, folks. There is our elevation, end elevation and plan view boxes done. If we look at it to the other question, obviously it's just kind of gone the other way. Okay, I'll use colours in a while to kind of distinguish between all the surfaces. Okay, but starting off, we always start off, I generally always do the boys, starting off with the elevation view. So what I want to do is I want to work out what this surface is here. So looking at the top, this point here is going to be in this position. So at this point, what is that distance? If I look back here, it's 15 plus 15, it's going to be a distance of 30. And what is the height of this section here? It's a height of 25. So, distance of 30, and then I've also got a height of 25. I've then marked those two, and put in my height of 25, my distance of 30, and there I suppose is that L-like structure again as we see it. And then this section here, we're going to see this kind of purple surface, only not the, I suppose, the true view of it. Okay, it's kind of like a shortened version of it. That distance there is 25. So I'll measure 25 here as well. So you can see that distance there, and pull that up. So there we go. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to heavy in that detail. Just heavy in all my vertical lines in one go, and then I'll heavy in my horizontal. So there we have it. That surface right there is this purple surface, and then this surface is here. Okay, and I actually have a bit of hidden detail in that view, so I'll come back to that at the very end of the question. And what we're going to do now is we're going to move on to the end elevation. Okay, so in the end elevation I can see this blue surface here at the front, and this purpler surface as well. Okay, it's going to be a long rectangle, but once again kind of a shortened version of that face. Okay, so the distance here is 20 millimeters. So from here, reading from left to right, okay, left to right, that is 20 millimeters there. Okay, and I can see these back ones here. I'll put them in a minute actually. I'll also transfer over my height. So my height here was 25 up this step. Since I've already measured here, there's no need to measure it again, bring it across, and I'll put in that 20 millimeters down. Okay, and there we have that blue surface, and here's the purple surface. Now what I've also got at the back is a rectangle here, a rectangle in the middle, and a rectangle on the right. Those rectangles are spaced 20, 25 and 20 apart. I've already measured 20 here. Okay, so that distance there was 20. So after I do that, I'll do 20, I can do it again, plus 25. Now the first 20 should match up with this line down here, and it does, so I'm happy with that. And there's my 25. And there we have it. There's our three rectangles on top, the one in the middle being a slight bit wider. So start to heavy in my details, vertical lines in one go. Then my horizontal lines. So there we have the view done. Three blue rectangles on the top, blue kind of square like, or I should say rectangle, small rectangle here, and then this purple surface here. Okay, so that's that view done. Now we're going to move on to the last view, which is the plan view, which is what we have in green, which is this surface here, and I suppose this kind of like C-like structure here. So to complete that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to transfer my lengths down. Any length I have, I'm going to bring it down. It's a construction line, so I'll just bring it down the whole way, just into the picture. So there's my lengths that I've put in at the moment, and I'll also transfer down my widths. So this is a width, here's a width as well. And any widths that I've brought down, project across. Now in this case, I'm only going to project them as far as here, because I just know that that's where they're needed. Now, looking down on top of it, okay, this surface here, okay, when we're looking down on top of it, I want to put in this kind of green C here. Now that C there, okay, is in this section here, in this elevation view, okay, because when I look in the direction of arrow A, I'm kind of seeing this edge here, which is here. So that means when I'm looking down on top of it, it has to be in here. So it's in between this space here. You can kind of see the sections of it here. The only measurement I'm missing is this little gap in here. And you can see back here, there was 15 and 15. So that's one measurement I forgot to put in. Okay, and I left it out purposely until the end. So there's 15 there. And at that point there, I'll measure down like this. Okay, having done that, I'll start to heavy in my C structure. Heavy in as you're going along, it will start to make things a little bit more clear for you. So there's that C-like structure on top, and what we've got left is this green surface down here, where we're going to have to get a line going at an angle, kind of like we did in the last question. Okay, so first of all, locating this point here, this edge there, but technically this point as I'm looking down top of it. Now that edge in my elevation view was right here, okay, and we know it's on the outside of it, so technically if I follow that down, we know that's right there. So that's one point. Now I need to find this point to be able to connect it to. Okay, likewise that point there, which was here in this view over here, it's here, so that's why it has to be here. Now I need to find this point. Now this point in this view is down along here. Okay, so it's here in this view, so that means it has to be down along this line. Alright, so now I need to find it over here. So where is this point here in this view? It's right here. So if I follow it down, you can see it hits here, I need to project that all the way across to be able to help me determine where it is. So I bring it across and it helps me find the point right there, and that point right there is my angled line. And now I can heavy in the rest of it. So there's that bit done. And finally, heavy this. And there we have it. There's our platform for our green surfaces. Okay. Now we are 95% done. It's literally a case of we have to get a little bit of hidden detail, and it's actually in our elevation view. If you remember here, I left this white surface kind of blank. Okay. The reason I did that is because, okay, when I'm looking in the direction of arrow A, I shaded in what I could see in red, obviously the purpler bit, but then technically this face is the same direction as this face. Okay, and there's an edge there that we can't see. There's also technically, at this point here, an edge running down here, going all the way to the ground, meeting up with that guy, and then this guy coming out to meet it. So you can see that kind of little section there. Okay, so if there's something behind it, okay, that's relevant to the drawing, okay, but we can't see it, we have to put it in hidden detail. So that measurement here, which was 15, I have it done in my plan view now. So while I have it done in my plan view, I can project it up to my elevation. Okay, that means that that edge there going down, I have to put in hidden detail. Now it's only going down as far as this line right here, because obviously it doesn't go down all the way to the ground. It stops at that platform there, which is up at a height of 25. Now there's also an edge here, okay, and this is where some people might make a mistake. Just remember there's hidden detail here because there's edges here and here. Okay, so technically what we also have to do is heavy in that little bit there. Okay, and there you have it, folks. That's the question completed. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to speed up the video while I shade in those surfaces. Okay, folks, so there you have it. There is the 2 questions completed on both the orthographic projections, and if I just go to this question here first, I've it shaded in, where you can see my kind of red shaded surface with the purple surface here for the elevation, end elevation over here blue with the purple again because you see it in both views, and then the green for the plan. And if I flip it over here on this side, okay, we've got our elevation. This time it's on the left hand side, red surface with the purple again, okay, and then end elevation blue with purple, okay, because we see it once again looking in the direction of our B, and finally our plan view as well. We'll also add hidden detail in here. Okay, so once again guys, I hope you found that helpful. That is those 2 questions completed.